Hello and welcome. I am Patrick Christys and this is GBN Originals. COVID vaccine liability and government costs. Let's get stuck right in, shall we? The ongoing COVID inquiry has unveiled startling information about the UK government's anticipation of vaccine-related injuries. Documents presented to the inquiry show that the government actually expected a potential £1.7 billion bill for injuries caused by the coronavirus vaccine. This figure raised critical questions about the safety protocols surrounding the rapid development of vaccines and the legal protections afforded to pharmaceutical companies. So they made the vaccines quickly. They absolutely hammered anyone who didn't want to take one of them. But then they also protected the pharmaceutical companies. Does that not seem a little bit rum? So Lord Sharma, who served as business secretary during the vaccine rollout, testified that this figure was based on the understanding that COVID vaccines were developed at a, quote, much faster pace and did not undergo the, quote, extensive clinical trials that would usually be the norm. Were we all told that at the time, were we? Anyway, let's put this into perspective. £1.7 billion is an enormous sum of money, equivalent to the annual budget of a mid-sized government department. It's a figure that raises serious questions about the safety protocols surrounding that rapid development and then the rapid rollout of the vaccines. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because Lord Sharma also revealed that the government had identified pharmaceutical companies like AstraZeneca agreeing to cover the costs of any harm that their vaccines inflicted. This indemnification effectively means that vaccine manufacturers cannot be sued directly by you or me or anyone we know, or by individuals who've suffered harms, or indeed maybe the relatives of those who have died. Well, you might be wondering, why would the government take on such a massive financial risk? Well, according to Lord Sharma, it was part of a broader cost-benefit analysis. I will at this point politely suggest that there was no cost-benefit analysis done when it came to lockdowns versus the economy, was there? But there was when it was done to this. Despite the potential £1.7 billion liability, the government estimated that the net benefits of vaccinating the population will be between £11 billion and £231 billion. Exactly where they've got those figures from is anyone's guess, but they're their numbers and they're sticking to it. Lord Sharma emphasised that the benefits significantly outweighed those costs. He said the net benefit calculation showed that it was many multiples higher than the potential contingent liabilities. Now, look, hey, I just want to be clear. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. We are talking about people's lives and their health. The government's willingness to shoulder this financial burden, and let's be honest, it's not the government, again, is it? It's us. We are the taxpayer. The government gets its money from us. We are paying the financial burden for this. However, it raises critical questions about the safety and efficacy of those vaccines. It's also worth noting that this indemnification of vaccine manufacturers isn't just unique to the UK. We're not the only ones that did it here. Many countries worldwide entered into similar agreements to secure vaccine supplies quickly during the pandemic. These contracts typically shield pharmaceutical companies from legal action related to their COVID-19 vaccines, transferring the liability to governments. This shift in liability, again, comes with ethical concerns. So if pharmaceutical companies know that they are shielded from the consequences of potential harm caused by their products, what incentive do they have to ensure the utmost safety? For me, it's this, though. It's about the long-term safety. So it's all very well and good creating a product, in this case a vaccine, that maybe in the short term, not many people see the side effects of. But what about in 10 years' time or 20 years' time? Where is the incentive for a pharmaceutical company to make sure that that's safe, if they know that 10 or 20 years down the line, they're not going to be the ones paying the price for it? And is it fair for taxpayers to have to foot the bill for any resulting injuries? So it's taxpayers who are, and I won't say forced to take the vaccine, but strongly encouraged to take it. And then if you've got a problem, or anyone else has got a problem, it's also taxpayers who have to pay for the damages. Do you think that's fair? Well, let's have a little shift now, shall we? Across the Atlantic, where a political drama is now unfolding in the final hours of Joe Biden's presidency. So just hours before Donald Trump's inauguration, on January the 21st, 2025, outgoing President Joe Biden issued preemptive pardons to several high-profile individuals. The list of those pardons included members of Congress who served on the January 6th committee, former public health official Dr. Anthony Fauci, you can see where I'm going with this, former chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley, staff members and those who gave testimonies to the committee. At GB News, we believe in the power of free speech. We're not afraid to ask the tough questions, challenge the status quo and give you a voice. While others silence dissent, we champion the truth. By becoming a GB News member, you're not just supporting free speech, you're defending it. Please consider supporting us today. Together, we'll hold the powerful to account and make sure that your voice is always heard. Simply go to gbnews.com/support and stand with us for what matters most. Biden described these as exceptional circumstances, saying that he cannot in good conscience do nothing. Well, the White House statement emphasised that these public servants do not deserve to be the targets of, get this, unjustified and politically motivated prosecutions. This move by Biden is clearly a protective measure against potential retaliation by the incoming Trump administration. Trump has previously hinted at taking action against those who attempted to hold him accountable for the events of January the 6th, 2021. General Mark Milley, who was one of the pardon recipients, expressed gratitude for Biden's actions. He said that he does not wish to spend his remaining time fighting those who unjustly might seek retribution. Now, let's be clear about what these pardons mean. They don't imply guilt or wrongdoing on the part of the person pardoned. Instead, they're a preemptive measure to protect these individuals from any politically motivated prosecutions by a new administration. Well, this is an unprecedented move by Biden, highlighting the deep political divisions that continue to plague American politics. It is a stark reminder of the ongoing tensions surrounding the January 6th events and those investigations that followed. But as we consider the two stories that we've just spoken about there, so the COVID vaccine revelations and Joe Biden's pardons, you have to think that there's a common thread there when it comes to Dr. Fauci, don't you? The bloke who stood initially next to Trump and then Biden, basically saying, take the vaccine, take the vaccine, take the vaccine, you're going to be absolutely fine, to paraphrase, okay? Well, now that this is all coming out about the vaccine, about the potential injuries, about people who might have been responsible for pushing that vaccine, do you not think it's convenient that Biden has decided to pardon Fauci? Could there be a coincidence there? There is also a very grey area about what Fauci knew about where the coronavirus came from. It would be easy to get the impression, and I'm not saying this is true, but it would be easy to get the impression that Biden looked at Fauci and thought this man is, for want of a better phrase, up to his neck in it when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic, and maybe we should try to shore this guy up. Because what it would mean is if Fauci is pardoned, it means he can never testify, doesn't it, to anything? And that could in itself protect others. But yeah, in the case of these COVID vaccines, we do see a government clearly willing to take on a significant financial risk to protect public health while also shielding pharmaceutical companies from direct liability. And this raises important questions about corporate responsibility, that balance between encouraging rapid innovation and ensuring product safety. And again, on the other side of the Atlantic, we see an outgoing president taking extraordinary measures to protect individuals who were involved in investigating a significant political event, that being January the 6th, and also undergoing a significant medical event, that being the vaccine rollout and the government's initial response to the coronavirus crisis. This underscores the ongoing political tensions in the United States and the potential for these tensions to impact the pursuit of justice and accountability. For a nation, especially when it comes to the United Kingdom and the United States, you like to bang on about how nobody is above the law. Well, it turns out some people are, aren't they? And maybe some of those people should actually be in a court of law and not wandering around free. These issues will undoubtedly continue to shape public discourse and policy decisions. The balance between public health, corporate accountability, and between political accountability and potential retribution are going to remain critical issues for governments and citizens alike. As we witness these unfolding events, I think it's crucial that we, as citizens, we remain engaged, we remain informed, we remain vigilant, whether it's understanding the implications of vaccine indemnity agreements or the potential consequences of political pardons. Our awareness and engagement are vital for the health of our democracy. And I will leave you with this. When the coronavirus pandemic was first happening, People who took a more sceptical view when it came to vaccinations or the origins of that virus were, in many cases, demonized, ostracized from society. They lost their jobs, they were vilified, and they were reputationally tarnished forever. Whereas, in the fullness of time, some of their concerns have been proven to be correct, haven't they? And the people who might have been demonizing them, dare I say it like Dr. Fauci, they are the ones granted a lifelong pardon. What about the millions of other people? I'm Patrick Christys. Don't forget to subscribe to GB News YouTube for much more.